Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak. And we ask Allah the Almighty to accept it from you and to help you perform this ceremony of worship that is fasting on the best way. And the best way is to do it, is to learn about it, to know what is permissible, what is not permissible, what breaks your fasting, what doesn't break your fasting. Now, I have taken or benefited from the Q A website for Sheikh Munajjid, and I'm going to translate it. It's long, but it's beneficial. But before that, I would like to start with you with the summarized kinds of Q&A about what breaks the fast, what doesn't, because people need that quickly. They don't want some long lectures about that. They want something brief. So let's go with the first Q&A about Ramadan. What breaks, what doesn't. Let's go. First, swallowing any kind of pills, it breaks the fast. This prayer for those who have asthma, it does not break the fasting. The pills that sometimes may be put under the tongue because of the heart attack problems, it does not break the fasting. Chewing gum, for sure, it breaks the fasting. Smoking, we don't have to tell you about it. It breaks the fasting. And people say, well, what about a cigarette after fasting? Are we permissible to take it? I say, if you can say Bismillah, then do. But if you can't, then don't do. Also, the liquids for mouth washing. It may, some scholars say it has a taste and it may, fall into your stomach. But as long as it doesn't, then it does not break the fasting. So as long as the gurgling, it does not reach to your stomach, it does not break your fasting. Some people say, what about using the siwak? Using the siwak is great. But what about while fasting? The Prophet was seen doing this always, mostly in Ramadan, mostly while fasting, because there's the most need for that to maintain your mouth to be having a good smell. So, okay, they may ask, what about after Asr? Becomes critical. That no matter what, at any time using the siwak, from the beginning of the day until the end of the day, you can use it. What about sitting in the bathtub, for example? I'm thirsty, I have nothing, or I want to take a bath. Yeah, but make sure that you do not get involved in some drops that it may fall in. You may swallow them. So as long as you sit in the bathtub or even swimming, there's nothing wrong with that. What about the drops? Now, there are 2 drops that break the fasting and 2 other drops that do not break the fasting. The drop that you put in your nose, nasal, and in your mouth, you use them. It's not only gurgling, but you put the drop in your mouth, which is going to be transferred into your stomach. So that breaks. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, he said, keep sniffing and snapping. Okay, do it extremely unless you're fasting. As for the 2 drops that do not break the fast, they drop into your eye and they drop in your ear. They do not break your fasting. As for the blood, if some blood is taken from you for test, like those who have diabetes, they want to check their blood, it does not break the fast. Even if you donate blood, it does not break your fast. Okay? It doesn't. Any kind of injury, it neither breaks your fast, nor it breaks your wudu, by the way. Some people think that it breaks the wudu. It doesn't. But injecting the blood in the body of a sick person, a patient, it does. It breaks the fast. Blood. Some scholars say if it's little, it's okay, but if it's a lot, then it breaks the fast. Hijama, there's a disagreement about it, but mostly, and what I believe, that it does not break the fasting. But things when they are not clear whether they're haram or not, taking precaution is better, especially when you can do it at other times, after you take your food or out of Ramadan. Extracting your teeth while fasting, it does not break your fast. Fixing your teeth, sometimes they fill it, they remove something from it, and they fill something else. That does not break your fast. As well as implanting teeth in your mouth, any kind of medical work, as long as things do not get into your stomach, there's nothing wrong with that. It does not break your fast. Also about suppositories, sometimes when a child or anyone has fever, okay, so they give him some suppositories. Those do not break the fast. They don't get into the stomach. Also, injections, injecting the person through it does not break the fast unless it has some nutrition. Likewise is the matter of injections, like in needles. If it contains something nutritional, that breaks the fast. If not, then it does not break the fast. Like the needle, the injection for those who have diabetes, it does not break the fast. Vomiting, it breaks the fast if it's deliberately done. But if you did not have choice, you were forced to vomit, then your fasting is okay. As for the kidney cleansing, sometimes, those who have blood problem, okay, it does not break your fast. Also, sometimes something happened between husband and wife, like hugging, kissing, etc. Something like this. As long as a person can control himself. But those who have fear, avoid it as much as they can, because it may reach with them that they cannot control themselves, and they may fall in what may cause them to fast 60 days. So be careful of it. The beginnings, the initial kind of touch is okay, as long as you don't get involved by doing this into something worse, and that is to lose whole control and to make a full intercoursing with your wife. Then you'll be in trouble. A commonly question that is always repeated about the woman that has the period: can she touch the Quran? For sure. Also the question: can she read the Quran? The period of the woman is sometimes 7 days, sometimes it is more than that. And we cannot tell the woman that stay away from remembering Allah, from reading Quran, and you have to be hafiz. If you want to read the Quran, or we allow you, but you have to be hafiz, you have to memorize the whole Quran. It's difficult. And it is illogic. Why do I say that? Because when the Prophet ﷺ, according to the Sahih Muslim, hadith number 298, when he ordered his wife, Aisha, to bring to him a piece of carpet, maybe it's been made for prayer, so he said to her, bring it to me. She said, I have period. I am ha'id. Ha'id, that means I have the period. Then the Prophet replied and said, your haid, your period, your menstruation, is not in your hand. So when she thought that there's something holy that makes it obligatory on her to keep herself away from that holy thing, the Prophet replied and refuted this. And he said, your period is not in your hand. There might be some weak hadith, but it doesn't stand as to back up this claim. The other thing is, when Allah wants something to be haram, He makes that haram clear. He doesn't leave it to be ambiguous, so people be, disagreeing about, quarreling about. No. When Allah wants something, wants His people, His servants, to know that this is haram, He doesn't let them know it that it's haram by measurement. No. But Allah makes it clear. And there is no clear evidence as to say for the woman, for example. There's clear evidence about the prayer that the woman who has the haid, she has the period, she should not perform the prayer. So this is clear. So no scholars disagreed about. No one said, no, but I think it's haram. Oh, but someone said, no, but I think it's halal. No. Why there's no disagreement? Because the prohibition was said to be clear. And if there's anything prohibited on women who have the period, likewise the junub, same thing. If there's any clear, we're waiting, we humbly say, we're waiting, standing on this attitude, on this fatwa, until someone brings us something clear to prohibit it. Then we will say to him, Jazakallahu khairan, and now we seek Allah's forgiveness for what we said before. But there's no evidence. Yes, some people may say, Sheikh Ibn Baz said. Sheikh Ibn Baz is a great scholar. But Sheikh Ibn Baz doesn't allow us to say something without evidence. This is his methodology. Okay? He does not let people take something as haram without evidence. So we're going to stay on this rule, which he taught us. Even if he said that she should be touching, the pages of the Quran by a stick or something. Okay. Well, if somebody believes it and he wants to keep himself or herself on that, we say to her, well, nowadays we have the phone. We have the phone. So she can touch the screen to alter the pages. We can't say to her even, this plastic, you cannot touch it. Okay, now if someone wants to remain on that fatwa, otherwise we say there is no evidence that the woman who has the period, that she should not be touching the Quran. In fact, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ makes it clear against that. And the ruling is that everything remains originally as it is, halal, until someone brings something to bring us from this attitude to another one that is haram. Because saying that this is haram without evidence is a greater sin than saying this is halal without knowledge. I repeat, saying this is haram without knowledge is worse than saying this is halal without knowledge. Why people say something, they say halal? Because they keep themselves with this ruling that everything is halal, allowed, unless we have a proof that it is haram. Okay? For example, touching plastic. Is it haram or halal? You say it's halal. Well, if someone said it's haram, we're going to say to him, okay, bring us the evidence. Because this is originally halal. Until you bring us something proving that it is haram. Likewise is the matter of the menstruation, about janaba, same thing. But we say to the junub, you're not supposed to be taking long with you to take a bath. You're not allowed to do that. You should, as soon as possible, take in a bath. There's nothing that delays you. Can someone sleep but he has janaba? Yes. Why? Because the Prophet did it. The Prophet used to be taking even tayammum if his body, became lazy and he doesn't want to, it's heavy on him. He used to be taking tayammum with the wall, just like this, and then he sleeps. So in this case, yes. So you can see that we're not using our measurements or mere thinking, okay? But we have to stick ourselves to the book and the sunnah. We know that there are disagreements about this. And we're ordered by Allah the Almighty that whenever you disagree on something, return it to Allah and His Messenger. If you believe in Allah and the hereafter, this is the best. This is better and the best as consequence. It brings the best results. That when you ever disagree on something, return it to Allah and His Messenger. That's the best. So that's why we say, based on that we say, there is no dalil that women should be should not be touching the Quran, should not be reading Quran. That the junub should not be reading Quran, should not be touching the Quran. Bring the evidence. We are ready to change any fatwa we give. Jazakumullahu khair. Here's another question which is important. The question is, why Allah specified the rewarding of fasting for Himself? There's a special reward given to those who fast for the sake of Allah. Why? Why special reward? And why Allah said that fasting is for me and I reward for it? Every kind of worship, it's for Allah, but why this is for Him? Especially apart from other performances. The answer was, well, this was based on the hadith narrated by Abu Huraira, that the Prophet said, that Allah said, every deed of the son of Adam is his, except fasting, it's mine, and I reward for it. This hadith is authentic. Why especially the fasting? Because every other action can be done with a false intention. Okay, except fasting. You cannot fast with a false intention, like riya, showing off. Okay? Because if the person is hypocrite, he may pretend that he's fasting, but he's going to go and eat. But this man is not eating when he is alone. So that is why this is a special kind of action, an act of worship, which showing off cannot penetrate in. It's not possible. And that's why people call it the worship of secret, or the secret kind of worship. Okay? Because this is something between you and Allah. You can go at any moment to the kitchen and eat whatever you want to eat. It's something special between you and Allah. But the fear of Allah is growing in you when you keep saying, no, Allah is watching me. No, I'm not going to do it. And you show patience despite the hunger, despite the thirst. You're very hungry and thirsty, but you want to resist with the hope that your faith, iman in your heart will grow up. So scholars said this kind of fasting, no riya, showing off, can activate in it. And also when Allah said, except fasting is for me and I reward accordingly. What does this mean? They say that since fasting is beloved by Allah and a special kind of secret worship, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, usually if you do one good deed, it will be multiplied for you 10, multiplied by 10. But since fasting is for Allah specially, and Allah loves it, then the reward is unlimited. That's why Allah said, it is for me and I reward accordingly. So when Allah said, fasting is for me, that means it is among the best kind of worship that is or done for my sake. Another question, am I allowed to cancel my fasting just one day? Because of what? Because football. So the answer was, it is not permissible at all to fast in the day of Ramadan for purposes of sport. This is not an excuse according to the Sharia, to the law of Allah the Almighty. Another question is asked here. Is he obliged to fast the days that have passed before his conversion to Islam? The answer was no, he's not obliged. It's not incumbent upon him to refast the days before his Islam. Because at that time, he was not among those people of obligation. They're obliged to do it. Okay? He was out of this. So if he became Muslim, he doesn't need to fast the days before. Another question is fasting Ramadan is one of the specialities of this ummah, this nation, or it had been prescribed to the people before us? Well, the ayah is very clear. O you who have believed, Fasting is prescribed upon you as it was prescribed on those before you, that you may attain God fearing. So the ayah is very clear and it's sufficient as an answer. Yes, fasting was obliged on the people before the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And even the Prophet, before he declared his prophethood, when he did not know before that he's going to be a prophet, in his early age, Quraysh was fasting Ashura, and the Prophet used to be fasting it with them in Mecca. A question: that we live in the big desert, a big desert. So, is it allowed for the people in the summertime, in which fasting is very difficult, almost impossible on them, and it remains sometimes many years? So, how do those people fast? The answer is when the month of Ramadan had started, then every person, every Muslim is obliged to fast it. As Allah the Almighty said, whoever witnessed the month among you, so let him fast it. And whoever was sick or being engaged in trouble, then it should be made up in other days. So fasting is obligatory even if it's a hard day, a very hot day. Well, he's saying here that also if a person was infected, he became extremely thirsty, to the extent that there is a fear on him that he may perish, then he will be given what may survive him, to survive his life. Then he should be stopping, then making at another time, refast at another time. Another question, a woman said that I have a friend who wants to embrace Islam, but when he knew that there is a fasting and that he has to refrain from eating and drinking at the daytime of Ramadan, then he decided to give it up. He doesn't want to become Muslim because of this. Especially, he has a special kind of disease. It's called migraine, which causes him a great headache. So what can we do for him? The answer was given first, that he should know that if he's willing to become a Muslim, okay, tell him that let's first come to Islam, embrace Islam, and gain this person to be in the field of monotheism. Okay? Then the matters of rulings should be coming afterwards. Like, for instance, if he died, for example, after he said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, but he did not fast, okay? So he will be having at least temporary kind of punishment. Whereas if he did not become Muslim, he is jeopardizing himself to be eternally in hell. So you should be dealing wisely with this case. That's number one. Another issue, if he decided to become a Muslim, it is a great favor from Allah upon him. He's not giving favor, okay? But rather it is a favor from Allah upon him. And if Allah granted him this favor, based or due to the light Allah penetrated in his heart, he'll be resisting, as Bilal was resisting when he was lashed in the depth and the core of Mecca, the hottest day. He was saying nothing but Allah is one, Allah is one, no God but Allah. So he should be knowing that this is a favor from Allah upon him. The other thing is, yes, fasting is difficult, but we should also know that there are extreme good side effects on the body. Therefore, he should be fasting. Now, if he wants to drink the coffee or etc., let him take it just seconds before the the adhan is due to be given on the morning time of the Fajr. Okay? Let him keep drinking. So he'll be fasting the whole day while he doesn't need to this coffee. But the other thing is that if he got sick because of that and he has this unbearable pain and that causes him sickness, then he is considered to be one of those who are excused not to fast. So either he make it up, which is, I believe he can do it, for another day, or if he cannot totally, he can't. He has an ongoing pain and there's no hope to be recovered from this, then he can break his fast. He can eat and give a person to break his fast. He pay him money to buy something to eat. So this is the expiation of that. Allahu A'lam.